Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all had a really good lunch. This lightning talk is about neurodiversity in the workplace. Here at this conference, we are usually focused on accessibility in games and how can we make this better for our players. But I am going to talk about how we can make our workplace a little bit more accessible. So, hello, my name is Rochelle Bazilet. I'm a UI engineer that's transitioning into a tech design role. And so my customer is changing and my customer is now designers. I'm also very passionate about making accessible interfaces and game design. All right, so what is neurodiversity? Neurodiversity is the concept that there is a natural variation in the human brain that leads to differences in how we think and how we behave. So what this usually comes down to is someone says, hey, I'm neurodivergent, which means I'm a little bit different from you. More than likely, you work with someone who is also a little bit different from you. And it's a very big umbrella term. It can encompass a lot of things. Neurodiversity is the little things that, kind of make us who we are and how we work in the workplace. So whether you have a physical disability, sensory disability, cognitive, mental health conditions, these things all kind of fall under that big umbrella. I can't speak for other communities, but I personally have ADHD. I also have anxiety and depression. And so when I come and I bring my technically full self to work, it is all of who I am and not just part of it. And the problem with that can be, sorry, that was an alarm. I was like, oh, I have theme music. I didn't know I came with theme music. That is new. Right. And so when we talk about these things, I would like for you to, or not you, but everyone, to cast aside their assumptions. A lot of the time, we know someone or we have close friends who also have a certain kind of disability or any kind of cognitive differences. And that is probably just that one person. A lot of the time you go, oh, you'll meet someone or you'll be at work and you're just like, hey, I have ADHD. Oh, my cousin has ADHD. They have this and this that they have to deal with. That is just one person that you know with ADHD. So from the quote from Dr. Stephen Shore, when you meet one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Jesus. My theme music. At least it's catchy. And so what comes with that is the things that have kind of been brought up through the pandemic. So for years and years, a lot of people who have disabilities have been asking, hey, can we work remotely? The pandemic brought that to the forefront for a lot of us, which means our workplaces has changed and the challenges with them has also changed. And so there are certain things that can be easily overlooked when talking about like, how am I getting the information across to my team? How am I getting the information across to the entire studio? An example could be all hands. All hands can be either very annoying or it can actually be very helpful, informative, things that allow you to pay attention and really be present in those meetings. And so now we have a lot of virtual meetings. So here I wanted to talk about general communication. And these are really small things. These are things that we think everybody knows, but that's not necessarily what translate when we're trying to, present the latest stand-up. So here's the little things that might help. So aside from adding agendas, now since we have a digital or a more remote approach to work, record your meetings. Meetings that don't have to be like, say you have an all hands and that meeting is recorded, but then it doesn't have transcripts. If you don't turn on transcriptions, then you can't have captions later. And then that makes it harder for someone to go back and watch. So these are like the small considerations that you want to take into account when you're doing these things. On top of that, using software that allows captions. The company that I'm at uses Google Meet a lot, and I've been a very big proponent of speaking up and saying, hey, can you please turn on transcriptions? Can you please, like, if you're going to record this meeting, make sure that we actually have the transcript here so we can go back and other people will have a more accessible time going back to this technology. And the other thing, try to limit the amount of ideas per slide. Doesn't matter if you have a million slides, but if you have too much on one slide, it becomes a cognitive overload issue. And then your information also gets lost in pretty much the sauce of everything that's in that one slide. The other thing is about self-advocacy. Accommodations make things better for everyone. And in the spirit of saying this, I've come up against a certain amount of barriers where these saying I need accommodations means what I don't want it to mean is I want to be treated differently from everyone else. It's more about leveling the playing field. A lot of the time, you know, if someone says, hey, I need you to summarize what we just talked about because I'm not going to remember in 30 minutes. I have like several meetings today. Can you please like add notes to this? Or is there a way that we can like kind of bullet point out everything that you need after we've had this hour-long talk and we've kind of gone all over the place? These are small things that really help, but they don't only help people with disabilities. They help everyone because it helps us all be more organized. Excuse me. Now would be a good time for that theme music. So in the office, there are some things that we have across all tech and all businesses where, you know, we have employee mandates where we're just like, okay, starting on Monday, everyone has to check in at this exact time. Or you could have something like, we need everyone to actually redo how we like restructure how we do JIRA tickets and the dreaded JIRA ticket, like really, right? So while you're in the office though, the things that kind of fall to the wayside is how are these standards affecting the entire team, right? Not everyone works the same. And the most important thing about this is most of the time, if you're getting your job done, it doesn't matter how you do it. You should have the option of how you do these things. And these options go a long way. Just like how we have which that I like is changing in this industry, an accessibility menu. You have a bunch of options available to you about how you do your work, how your workflow is set. And not all of us are going to work the same way, but we still bring a lot of great work and talent to the team. The other thing, now that we have return to office mandates as well, which is kind of echoing out through the industry here, is there a quiet area for your employees to go if they have sensory overload? A lot of the time, these big offices are not necessarily designed for people who have any of these conditions and were not even thought about when they design them. Being under fluorescent lights can be very, very, jarring to the senses. And having to sit at that desk all day with this one light that keeps flickering on and off, those things, they're little things, but they really can distract from them doing the best work that they can possibly do. And then the other thing is, do we have ways to mitigate noise? Most people think of noise as, okay, it's loud music, it's cars driving, it's kind of like anything that seems out of place in the office. But if you can hear like a literal meeting going on all the way down the hall, how are we breaking up areas to account for sound and acoustics? this can actually make the office a lot more welcoming and a lot more habitable to be in, and actually might motivate people because they have a quieter place to work versus being home. You got kids, you got dogs, you got pets, your cat sitting on your keyboard. I apologize for not putting more cat pictures in here. But these are the little housekeeping things that really help. For a lot of neurodivergent people, there are certain things that do help. Such as flexible scheduling. I am a person who has difficulty with time. I have literal time blindness, and it's hard to tell someone, hey, I'm going to need us to talk about things within a time frame versus I need this at 9 a.m. Can you just like do simple things like, okay, between 8:30 and 9, you can submit your work. That's a reasonable accommodation. And again, with the acoustics and the noise, sometimes we just need a little bit, like if you need the quiet, then accommodate for quiet. Noise canceling headphones are great, right? Most of the time there is a budget for that. But if we don't ask, we can't receive. And if we don't bring these issues up, then no one will ever know that they're an actual issue. The thing for most people that I would say is be curious and seek understanding. Everyone's conditions are different. The challenges that we face are all different. It is a myriad of things, a collection of things, but it's never the same thing. As we saw earlier, if you meet one person, one condition, you've only met that one person with that condition. That does not mean that this applies to everyone with that condition. And so if we approach things with, curiosity and understanding, this will really help build the relationship between your employees, the company, management. People will fight for something when they are treated well, when they are treated fairly. And finally, if you don't know anything about this person's condition, ask. Hey, you told me you have this. What does this mean? How can I help you? How can I build a system in between us in which things will work out and we have less friction? If you don't know, ask. More than likely, people are more than happy to be like, hey, this is what works for me. It might not work for everybody else, but this is what works for me. This is how I get my job done as efficiently and best, as efficiently as possible. That's all for me. Thank you.